I'm vlogging. It's boring. I'm Colleen. That's you, Mommy.
Hello everyone, welcome to our Tortilla Talk Tuesday. You know the drill. This is the video of the week where I don't edit it very much and I answer some of your questions from the comments. This one might be a shorter one. It's already been a very busy, long day, so I don't know how much time today I'm gonna have to answer questions, but I still wanted to answer some. So I'm going down to the chickens and I wanted to answer some questions while I'm down here. So number one, Fun with Friend 634 said, "Hi Colleen, may I ask you a favor? Could you possibly not have the background music playing so loudly when you're talking? I recently lost some of my hearing due to an ear infection and for some reason today's video was really hard to hear you. It was mostly in the beginning when you were working on the kids' costumes. Anyway, no biggie. If you can't, I'll still watch your videos." I thought this was a very sweet, kind, lovely way to give me a critique. And also, I'm so grateful for this critique because I put a lot of thought and effort into the music that I put into my vlogs, but it is a lot of work. And so if I can eliminate adding the music to some of my vlogs or parts of my vlogs because that's what you guys want, like I will gladly do that. I do like the music in my vlogs, but obviously more importantly, I want you guys to enjoy the vlogs. And so if the music is distracting or obnoxious, like I'll try to only put it in when I think it's absolutely necessary. And it will actually save me a lot of time. Even though it might be hard for me, I think sometimes I add the music because I think like what I'm talking about is like boring or not interesting. So I think like maybe music will make this seem more interesting than it is. If it's just that it's too loud, I'll turn it down. But if it's that it's completely distracting and like overstimulating, I can take it out some of the time. So let me know what you guys think because I want to make sure you're happy. But I thought this was a very sweet way to critique someone. No, I really thought it was a very fair ask, and I'm sorry that the music was loud. I must have edited that one really late or something and wasn't paying attention to the sound ratio of me talking versus the music. But it did get a bunch of likes and people were responding to that comment saying like, yeah, it's overstimulating. So thank you for the critique and I will try to do better. Since I'm down at the chicken coop, I really want to answer this question because I love this question. Hannah said, "Hi Colleen, Tortilla Talk question. Can you talk more about the individual personalities of your chickens? And if each chicken were a Taylor Swift album, what would they be?" Oh my gosh, I love this question and I'd be happy to answer it. First up, we have Midnights, all right? Now Midnights, it's pretty clear what Midnights is. Midnights is Midnights. Midnights is named after the Midnights album, but also Midnights has, I feel like the personality of Midnights. Midnights is drawn to me. Midnights is one of my favorite albums, and Midnights is also one of my favorite chickens. Even though she can be a sassy, brutal, vigilante sometimes and kind of harsh and rude to the others. At the end of the day, she is a bejeweled queen and she is fun, she is spunky, she's outgoing, she's sensitive. It took me a while to like really get to know her. And when I first listened to the Midnights album, I was like, I don't know about this. I think I like it, but like, I don't know. And over time, I was like, this is my favorite album of all time, but it took me a while to get there. That's kind of how I am with Midnights. So that's Midnights. Here we have Betty, my lovely little shy queen. I would say she's folklore because she's, you know, named Betty and Betty is on folklore. However, I think that Betty is more TTPD. She is my tortured little poet. She's beautiful. She looks like a poetic sweetheart and she's a beautiful, elegant, poetic queen. And yeah, she's definitely Tortured Poets Department. This menace is of course Pickles. Pickles is violent. Pickles is aggressive. Pickles is out for revenge. Pickles is reputation. And of course, we have my little queen, Poppy. I would say Poppy, excuse you, Poppy, she's a little feisty right now. Poppy is lover to me. Poppy is a sweetheart. She's the cuddliest, she's the friendliest. She's a silly, fun little goofball who just wants to be loved and just wants to have fun, but kind of gets bullied a lot. She's sweet, she's demure, she's lovely, she's wonderful. She's just a classic, lovely, wonderful little chick, and she is lover. This freak of nature is Radiohead. I feel like Radiohead is definitely an idiot, and Radiohead doesn't, oh, bye girl. Radiohead doesn't have much going on up there in that fluffy noggin, but Radiohead is fabulous. I mean, that beautiful display on his head, like, let's talk about the life of a showgirl, honey. Radiohead is fun, simple, not much depth going on there, just a beautiful showgirl, looks fabulous and fun. Life of a Showgirl is what it is. It's just a fun little pop album. Most of Taylor Swift albums are really full of depth and lore and wonder and poetry and intricate detail. And Life of a Showgirl is what it is. It's just simple. Simplicity, and it is just a fun little album, not much going on there. Hilarious, fun to look at, fun to listen to, but That's all. And here we have Stormy. Stormy is very obviously folklore. Stormy is always broody. Stormy is very emotional, very temperamental, kind of goes under the radar, and not many people notice Stormy. But when you do notice Stormy, you're like, wow, she's a magnificent creature. She is wonderful and beautiful and perfect. And then right over here next to Stormy, we have the queen Taxi. Taxi is the head honcho. She's the main squeeze of the coop. She runs the pack, and she's been through a lot. Stormy is a classic. We've had her forever, and she's been through a lot of trauma, but she's really sweet. She's really well behaved. She is just a classic sweetie. So Taxi is fearless. And that is all of my chickens' personalities and what Taylor Swift album they would be. Thank you. End scene. Okay, I changed my shirt because I was sweating in that freaking sweater, which, is that why they're called sweaters? Why is it called a sweater because you sweat in it? I think I'm craving a bowl of cereal, so I'm gonna get that, but what's the next question? I think I want Cocoa Pebbles for health reasons. Brenna Lemire said, hi, love you a lot. Tortilla Talk question. I'm a nursing student headed towards graduation in May. I want to be a labor and delivery nurse or a NICU nurse. What stood out to you during your birthing hospital experiences? What impacted you that you wish more nurses would do? I want to be the best nurse I can be. P.S. Please stay around and keep making videos. First of all, I'm not a person who should give advice to anybody, especially a nursing student who's way smarter than me. And I feel like maybe I've answered this question before in a different vlog, but I'll try to answer it again, maybe a more condensed version. First of all, anything you do as a NICU nurse is so appreciated, and you are an angel sent from heaven above, and you are a better human being than I could ever be. I am so grateful to all NICU nurses on this earth. Like, you are an incredible human, and I couldn't be more grateful that you exist, because it's people like you that kept my babies alive. I mean, obviously I was grateful for NICU nurses, every single one that I encountered, even ones that like maybe I didn't have the best interactions with. I was still like, not that we fought or anything, but just like if I didn't feel listened to or heard, I still appreciated them and respected them so much because of the field that they chose to go into. But I got the feeling that there was a lot of nurses that like would know that everything was gonna be okay, or had a feeling that everything was gonna be okay because they saw this particular situation with a kid many times. And so they knew, like, this situation that your child is going through, I've seen 1,000 times before. It's all gonna be okay. I know it's scary, but like, it's gonna be fine. As a new mom with a kid in the NICU, like, I haven't seen this a million times. The NICU is very overwhelming and intimidating when you're not there every single day. And so for me, it was really very scary. And so I found a lot of comfort in the nurses that were able to empathize with the fact that the moms there were oftentimes really scared and nervous, and kind of just validating those feelings of like, I know this must be so hard for you, this is so hard, but I promise we're doing everything that we can to make sure that your baby comes home as soon as they can, and we're taking really good care of them, as opposed to just a couple of nurses would be like, listen, your kid's gonna come home, it's gonna be fine. Like, basically saying like, relax, like, your kid's fine. As much as that was true, and I know maybe some people like that though, honestly, so I actually can't give you advice because every person is different. So like, what was helpful for me was hearing someone validate my fears and my feelings and be like, yeah, this is really hard, I'm so sorry, we're doing everything we can to make sure that your babies come home as soon as possible. That was really helpful for me to hear, as opposed to the doctors who were just like, they're gonna come home when they come home. You know, that wasn't helpful to me. But some parents might need that. So I don't think there's any answer that I can give you that would apply to all parents. I just know that I really appreciated the nurses that would validate how I was feeling and how scared I was and how overwhelmed I was. Not that they would like coddle my emotions, but just say like, I know this is hard, I'm so sorry. Like, that's it. You know, that just helped me to feel a little bit more at peace. That makes sense? Probably not. Don't take my advice. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna eat my cereal and I don't want to crunch my Cocoa Pebbles in your face. So I'll answer more questions later. Okay, my cereal is delicious and I'm gonna do some more work on my costume I'm making for Wesley. He wants to be a made good chocolate chip bar. This is the progress I've made on it. If you guys were watching me make it last week, this is where I'm at. I'm very upset about it though. It's like major tragedy has occurred upon my life because I worked so hard to make this all like perfect, because this is all hand done, like hand drawn on. And last night I was trying to like fill in a little bit more of the lettering, any part that looked kind of patchy, and look what I freaking did. Do you see this? That little freaking mark? I was so pissed. I don't have too much work to do on it still. I'm gonna try to fix that, but I'm just gonna put some brown felt on the back to cover up the back part of it because the back is really ugly. The idea is that his little face is gonna go in here and there'll be a strap around the back of this to keep it on his face, and he'll be a little cute chocolate chip bar. His favorite granola bar. I'm gonna get a hot glue gun out of my hot glue gun bin. I've never shown you guys my crafting crap that I have in my house. I have like a bin of everything. You know I love a craft, and so I have everything I need for crafts. So I have these little boxes on my shelves and they all have different things in them. This is the hot glue bin. This is all hot glue guns and hot glue because I have different hot glue guns that I like for different things, and there's some that are really good and there are others that aren't. I prefer the hot glue guns with the huge sized glue sticks, like this size, the thick size glue stick. And I like the extra long glue sticks because they last longer. You don't have to replace it as often, and I go through a lot of hot glue. So anyway, I'm gonna plug this in because I want to finish up that Made Good chocolate bar. Also, if you guys didn't watch the newest episode of Sass, you should, because 2 iconic Halloween costumes are in that newest episode that we posted yesterday that I made, and there's a lot of behind the scenes fun stuff this week for the Patreon. Anyway, let's get to your questions. You asked more questions. Dada Bahamaher said, tortilla talk question. It might be a silly question, but can you tumble seashells? I'm not actually too sure what tumbling is, but is there other things you can tumble or have tried, or is tumbling specific to rocks? Can tumble seashells sort of sometimes. I don't know. I'm not like a professional rock tumbler, but tumbling I think is typically for rocks. I'm sure that there are other things that people tumble. People tumble crystals, which is technically rocks, you know. I have tumbled sea glass before, or I've tumbled glass to make it look like it was sea glass before. It kind of worked, but not really. But I have tumbled a couple of pieces of seashell that had been like agatized, like fossilized. I don't know what the right term is, but let me see if I can find them. I'll show you. This is a seashell that I tumbled, but it's only part of a seashell. If I were to tumble a seashell like this, probably any seashells that are kind of like this, I think they would just shatter and get crushed. But when I find seashells that look more like this, where they're super thick and they almost feel like they've been, I don't know, agatized is the only word I can use to describe, but I know not a lot of people know what that means. Those you can tumble, and that, what I just showed you, if you tumble it, would end up looking like this polished beauty that I just showed you. That's all shiny and pretty. So that's a seashell. I'm sure I have more that I just don't know where they are. Now there's other seashells that I've tumbled. I can't find them right now. So you can tumble them, but they have to be like a certain amount of girth and thickness to withstand the tumbling process because it is pretty intense. I got another question regarding tumbling. Jennifer said, Tortilla Talk, I saw someone tumble geodes and it was cool. Would you ever try that? I want to know, first of all, what you're talking about because I love watching videos of other people with crystals or tumbling or polishing stuff. So let me know who you're talking about because I want to watch this. I have tumbled geodes, but it's always on accident. Usually with a geode, if I start to tumble it, it will just kind of get crushed in the tumbler. I'll think it's just a cool rock, and then when I take it out of stage 1, I'll notice that it like got cracked or there's a hole in it or something, and I can see that there's sparkles inside. And a lot of times the grit inside the tumbler gets inside the crystals and just kind of like grinds it up and makes it like not as pretty. But I have had success tumbling a couple of geodes. Again, this is on accident. I didn't know they were geodes. I just thought they were pretty rocks, and then they started to polish and it worked, but it's only worked a couple of times. So I'll show you the ones that I know of that I've tumbled that are geodes that end up being kind of pretty. This is one of the geodes that shattered open as I was tumbling it. I think, or maybe this one I crushed myself. I don't know. I know that I started to see the sparkle. This is what the outside of it looked like. And I was like, ooh, I wonder what this will look like if I crush it open. And lo and behold, it's a geode. This is an example of a geode I didn't know was a geode until I tumbled it, and then it shaved away like the top layer of the rock. It's honestly hard to tell, but inside of this polished rock is a bunch of like little crystal chunks, and it's super sparkly and pretty. It's just hard to tell on camera, but I promise you it is. This one is the only one I've successfully tumbled, and it's still like sparkly and beautiful and smooth all at the same time. I love this rock. This is a geode I started to tumble and then noticed it was a geode, so I tried to hand polish this side of it, and I don't know, it turned out okay, but I might actually put this one through the tumbler. It's just hard because sometimes the grit gets in there and ruins the rock, so I never want to ruin the geodes. But this is another one I tried to hand polish. This rock I had no idea was a geode. I picked it up off the beach because I thought it was pretty because it has purple in it, and purple's my favorite color. When you turn it around, you'll see that it's a geode inside. Now I had no idea that this was a geode rock. It's kind of hard to tell on camera, but I promise you there's like little sparkly crystals in there. I love this rock. It's kind of out of focus. I'm trying to get my camera to focus and it's having a really hard time. I apologize. I have to go get the bath ready for my kids. Don't worry, I unplugged the hot glue gun, I remembered, which is very important and something that's hard for me to do sometimes. But Amy MC said a comment that made me laugh because I was singing songs that I used to sing in like Sunday school and stuff in a vlog recently. And she wrote, do you know the song, I am a C, I am a CH, I am a CHRISTIAN, CHRIST in my HEART, and I would. Why is it? Oh my God, this part always tripped me up. She wrote it in the comments, but I don't want to look. I don't want to cheat. And I have CHRIST in my HEART, and now a LIVEETERNALLY. Woo! How I remember that one being a struggle in Sunday school. Trying to remember how to spell all of that was very tricky for me. But yes, I know that song. FR3Y4826 said, hang on, is this Miranda Sings? No. My hair is like extra poofy today. I don't know what's going on, but like, what is this poof? Okay, my kids are gonna be upstairs in like 2 seconds to take a bath, so I gotta hurry. Ches and Rice said, just curious why you couldn't celebrate Halloween growing up. To paraphrase, it was basically like, why? Is it because of religion? And am I angry that my parents wouldn't allow me to celebrate Halloween because this person said they'd be upset? I've talked a little bit about this before, but I'll talk about it again because it's the Halloween season, so it makes sense that I would talk about Halloween right now. I wasn't allowed to celebrate Halloween until I was like 12 or 13 or something like that. And it was because of religious reasons. My parents didn't want us to celebrate Halloween. They viewed it as a very like satanic holiday as far as I can remember, but I could ask them again now why they felt that way. I don't think I've really talked to them very much about it since I became an adult. And I celebrate Halloween now and I love it. I think it's super fun. And yeah, I have no issues with Halloween now, but am I angry with my parents? No. Because I know that what they were doing was trying to protect me. They were trying to help me be safe, and they were just doing the best they could with the knowledge that they had. I mean, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but as far as I know, they were doing it because they wanted to protect us, and they believed that this was a bad, evil holiday, and they didn't want their precious, perfect little children being involved in something that they thought was a negative, bad thing. I definitely could look at it if I wanted to with a negative perspective and go like, how unfair, that's so mean. And I'm sure as a kid I was frustrated that I wasn't getting to trick or treat like my friends, but at the same time, like, I know that my parents weren't doing that with ill intentions. They weren't doing it to be mean to me. They weren't doing it to withhold things from me or to hurt me or to make me feel left out or any of those things. They were not doing it for those reasons. They were doing it because they loved me and they loved my siblings and they wanted to protect us from something that they felt was negative and evil and bad. I don't believe that, but like, I firmly believed that something was negative and evil and bad, I wouldn't want my kids participating in it. If my parents were like, I don't want you to participate in that because I don't want you to have any fun and I don't want you to have any candy and to feel left out, like, yeah, I think I'd be mad at them. But I know that my parents love me, did everything that they possibly could to make sure that I had a fulfilled, happy, wonderful childhood and life. And they still go above and beyond to make sure that I have anything that and everything that they could possibly give me and that I need. Like, they go above and beyond and they're doing the best they can. And I think there's no perfect parent, there's no perfect parenting manual, and there are certainly things that I do as a parent that I'm sure my kids are going to do a lot differently when they have kids, if they have kids. A lot of things that I do that are different than what my parents did. That doesn't mean that they're evil and bad because we do things differently. It just means they chose to do things differently. And I feel that if what they were doing was out of love for us and out of true care and protection and just wanting the absolute best for their children because they loved us so unconditionally and so much, then I'm not gonna be mad at them for that. They weren't, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So no, I'm not mad at them, but I do get that question a lot. A lot of people think that I'm like I would be mad at my parents for not being allowed to celebrate Halloween. And I guess I remember a little bit as a kid being a little frustrated that I didn't get to go trick-or-treating, but I also eventually got to celebrate it. And, you know, my parents listened to us when we finally were like, hey, please, can we celebrate this? Please, can we do it? We really want to celebrate Halloween. We really want to go trick-or-treating. They listened. They were like, okay, you can try it out, but here's all the things that we want you to do to be careful and safe. And maybe if I had gone to them and like begged them to let me trick or treat. Oh, I'm out of time on this SD card. Maybe I'll finish this conversation later, but I gotta go. My kids are coming up the stairs. We'll talk later. Hi, it's the next day. I did not film any more later. I forgot to, but just to finish off what I was saying, yeah, I'm not mad at my parents for not letting me celebrate Halloween. I love my parents very much, and I have grace for my parents in the sense that, like, any things that I feel that I would do differently as a parent, I'm not angry at them for. I know that they love me, and everything that they did, mistakes or not, was out of love. So that's how I feel about that. But thanks for your beautiful questions this week, and I'm excited for the upcoming vlogs because it's Halloween week. There's so many costumes to be worn, so much fun to be had. So I'll see you guys soon. Okay, bye.